All right, everybody, welcome to the podcast. This is your host, owner, creator, however you want to label it, Caleb Ball. Welcome to my first recording. This is definitely going to be painful. It's going to be hard to listen back to. Caleb, why are you making said podcast, or what's your game plan here? There's not one. I've said over and over the last couple of years, I've wanted to do a podcast. I just like talking sports. Something that I love. There's a few things in my life that have held true. That's my faith in Jesus Christ and my love for sports that have gone with me throughout my whole life. So just kind of something I've wanted to do. We'll see how it goes. What's going to be time frame, the frequency of these, and or how frequent we're going to do this. No idea. This is my favorite time of year is NBA free agency. All of the new hope that every franchise has to start the year. NBA is not my main love. I love watching college basketball. It's my favorite. I love every sport, but basketball is my sport. Basketball is the thing that kept me occupied as a young man and kept me pushing through all the time. It's just what I love to do. I love to shoot, love to watch players. I've been known to have an ESPN addiction, back in the day, and I probably still have it. Nobody just talks about it as much anymore because you get a little bit quieter about it as you get older. But I love all the goofy details when it comes to teams and players and all the things that are changing every day for the NBA, but just the basketball world now with the NIL in college and the transfer portal and all that craziness. I know a lot of people don't like. There are some things for me where I'm kind of like, I wish it was better or whatever. But I love it. I love the new approach every year. We were talking about as Kentucky basketball fans. We were talking about the other day how trying not to get myself psyched up over the new team because that's what we do every year, even through John Calipari and now on to Mark Pope with the transfer portal. But I can't help it. So I want to be excited going into the new year. As I'm recording this now, I'm watching Memphis and Utah in the Summer League. I love Summer League basketball. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people don't watch it. A lot of people don't care. I love watching Summer League basketball. These guys are fighting for a spot. It may not be the prettiest basketball, but these guys are playing their tail off, trying to get a spot on a team, fighting for their careers. So that's kind of the breakdown here of what we plan to do. Say we, it's just me, just sitting here in a dark room by myself. I am married, have a kid. The kids sleep. Wife's sitting down, doing her thing. At this point, she has had a motor move. Probably shouldn't be yawning on my first stream or podcast. But I don't know what any other way to do this. I really don't. I don't know any other way to do this and to just kind of be yourself. And I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about. You want to listen? I appreciate it. If not, okay. You can stop listening now. All right, so if you're here and you want to be here, I have a big, probably I don't know if you call it an inspiration or whatever, but I love listening to KSR, Kentucky Sports Radio. I know Matt Jones over there at Kentucky Sports Radio has put out a great product and has turned it into a whole franchise and business now. I love listening to those guys. They're just relaxed, talking about their lives, talking about sports and what they love, and they're coming at it as fans, not as working for a university or for a team. They are fans, and that's what I love to hear. I want to hear those perspectives. I don't want you to sugarcoat stuff for me or tell me what I want to hear because you're getting paid by these people. But I love listening to fans talk about the game. Watching Memphis and Utah here, it looks like they've pulled Darren Peterson. Maybe didn't play tonight, but Cam Boozer is in this game, or was. Hit a few good shots. They've kind of pulled him out, protecting those players. And that's kind of the first topic I was going to hit here is the Summer League and all of just the new faces. You got I have to silence my phone. But you got AJ DeBonta going number 1, Darren Peterson number 2, Cam Boozer 3, Caleb Wilson 4. There's a lot of talent in them top 4 picks. What does it turn into? I don't know. But that's what I love about this time of year, is at this point, we're all looking at the potential and what it could be, and we've got excitement from it. So if you're a Washington Wizards fan, I'm not sure if I know any of those. I loved John Wall as a Kentucky player, and as a kid, John Wall was awesome. It was kind of my first memory as a young kid getting into watching basketball. But as we look at the Wizards roster over here, now they've even traded for DeAndre Ayton. That's another huge player to put in there on that team. You got Ayton at 7 foot, Anthony Davis 6'10". And them guys, like, they exaggerate a little bit. Alex Sarr at 7 foot. There's DeBonta's 6'9", going to be your 3. Keyshawn George is another forward at 6'8" that played a lot last year. I mean, this team is long, lengthy, young, and ready to go. And speaking of young, Trae Young also sitting down there. To me, if you're going to have Trae Young, if Trae Young is going to be on your team, you've got to pair pieces around him that are going to help with the defensive issue. 6'2", 164 pounds. He's not going to push around on defense. Not his thing. But in the same sense, he's making $46 million a year, not because of his defense. It's for all the other things that Trae Young brings to the table, is his to facilitate, and his court vision, and his shooting ability and scoring ability. And like I said earlier, right now we're in the hope stage and the potential and the excitement. You're going to stick Trae Young out there, DeBonta, Anthony Davis. I would say, in my opinion, I put Alex Sarr out there. He started putting it together at the end of the year. That's who I'm going to put out there on the floor. And who are they going to play at the 2? They had D'Angelo Russell on the bench here. And it could be, Trey Johnson. That's a good one for the 2. Maybe he played his way through. I know Will Riley played some as a guard last year. But that's another one that, where'd he go? Trey Johnson, heck of a shooter out of Texas last year. And you pair all that together, you're going to have Trae Young making sure he's not washed. That's kind of the hope here. Seeing if he can kind of bring back some of those Atlanta vibes. Maybe Trey Johnson plays the 2 as a flat shooter. DeBonta is going to be your 3. Here's, for me, I don't know. I heard some guys say he's a shooter. He's got a good shot. If you watch him, I don't think he's a bad shooter. I think the ability is there. But what does it turn into? We don't know. Let's see. He shot 34% for 3 last year for BYU. What does that turn into for him? Does he even need to do that? You get Anthony Davis at the 4. Alex Sarr started putting it together. We know Davis don't like to play the 5. So you're going to play Sarr or Ayton? That would kind of be my guess here. Anthony Davis is shooting, what was his splits last year? Sorry. Wrong one here. Here we go. Before he went down from 3, man. Funny, you look at these stats. Anthony Davis, last 3 or 4 years, only 23% from 3. Not looking great, so you don't have a lot of shooting there, but he's Anthony Davis. If the dude's healthy, generational, the unbelievable talent. Again, another one for me as a kid that I remember, that 2012 Kentucky team. It was absolutely phenomenal. I've never seen a player get MVP of the national championship game because of his effectiveness on defense. Did not need to score. Absolutely tore up Thomas Robinson, who's coming in for Kansas in that game. And Davis controlled that. And they say sophomore in high school, he was their starting point guard of his high school team. He grew over 2 years and turned in to the height and length we see now. So you take them guard skills and turn it into the size. And then when he come out of New Orleans, when he got traded from out of New Orleans, it was like, I'm not accusing nobody. Maybe the dude got on steroids. I don't, like, the dude got huge, big, and strong, and fixing some of that issues. And is he healthy? He's fragile as glass. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, he can put a season together, and that's, again, it's the off season. We're supposed to be excited. We're supposed to get fired up about this stuff. So you're going to see that for Washington this year. With Debonsa, you bring him in. The Alex Sarr shooting 33% from 3 last year, on 3 attempts a game. So we'll see. We'll see what that turns into for them. I think there's a new blueprint coming to the NBA with, Victor Wembanyama. It's kind of the same thing you saw with Kevin Durant when he was in the NBA, and still now as he's in the NBA, everybody's looking for the next Kevin Durant or Giannis Antetokounmpo. Or I'll tell you this: those dudes are 101. You're not gonna find another one of those guys. But you find somebody else, and that's the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama, and they put the size, the athleticism, and the length out there on the court. And I did not expect them to get the finals. I'll be open about that. I told all my buddies they're not going to make the finals. They're too young. They're going to look good and then collapse. Did they ever collapse? No. They actually got to the finals. And then I wouldn't say they collapsed there. I just think the team build was not. You didn't have enough offense. There was not enough shooting. Wembanyama's not going to beat and bang down low. He needs to play outside. And for him to use his length, he's got to have spacing. And so if he's got no spacing, he can't use that ability, to use his length and take advantage of that down low. Will they figure that out? I think so. It's San Antonio Spurs we're talking about. One of the greatest organizations, that we've seen in the last 20 years. So I think they figured that out. But you see this new blueprint of long length, and shooting, and the Spurs, are going to have to figure that out. They just showed Darren Peterson. They just showed his stats for the game. He's in here now. Jazz are up 10 with about 1:40 left. And, oh my goodness. He just dribbled into the 3-point line, pulled up on the guard, and drilled that in his face. Darren Peterson there was a lot of turmoil. 25 points, 12 assists on 8 of 14 shooting. I know it's summer league, whatever. You can tell when these guys, and Boozer's having a good game too. 16, 6 rebounds, 4 or 5 from 3 for Cam Boozer. I'll stay on topic here, but Darren Peterson, we'll see what becomes of him. All the goofiness at Kansas, is it legitimate that there was some issues, maybe overdose on creatine that got him cramping? Maybe I'd believe there's probably a little bit of legitimacy to, hey, this guy looks really good, and his agent comes knocking and says, hey, don't get hurt. We're saving you for the NBA. There's some of that going on these days, and I don't blame these guys for that. If we were in that situation to make money like they are and to make bigger money at the next level, we would have to think about those things too. But guess what? I'm 5'11", overweight, and I've never had to think about those issues. So I'm sitting here at a desk recording a sports podcast. That's a different situation here. But Darren Peterson, I'm telling you, he looks like a superstar. You can just tell these guys when they come through the summer league, they come through college, and they play against other guys that are not quite NBA level, and it just is too easy. It's too easy for him. Well, he'll probably have more issues as he goes to the NBA and he deals with real guys, on a nightly basis. But I'm telling you, if you're the Wizards, you had to take Debonsa. You had to. Like, all the questions, just the potential that Debonsa could have, just what a freak athlete he is. But Darren Peterson could be a superstar. That's, if we're taking anything from the first, Caleb, your first podcast, you're making crazy predictions. Yeah, that's what we're making right now. That's my prediction. Darren Peterson in the next couple years is going to be a superstar. See what he's got here. I know you all aren't seeing this and watching me, but okay. Kind of a heat check here. But that's all right. You kind of deserve that at this point. For that Jazz team, young, a lot of pieces moving. A lot of pieces moving in the offseason. You got Ace Bailey's coming into his second year, another great athlete, Kyle Filipowski. I can't stand Duke. I can't stand some of their players. Kyle Filipowski looked like a good player in the NBA. He's a great 6'11 forward, stretch guy. Keontae George took a lot of flack last year. I think he had a great year for the Jazz as their point guard, but really didn't get much love. They trade for Jaren Jackson. You got Lauri Markkanen still on the team. So you're talking, we're going to be Keontae George, right? Darren Peterson, Ace Bailey, Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson. Is that going to be the 5? Again, Bailey at 6'9", Jackson 6'10", and as long as could be. Lauri Markkanen 7'1", going to be playing your 4. And even Keontae George is 6'4" and got long arms. So you're seeing that in the NBA. Everybody's looking for size and length. Size and length is the way that they're playing nowadays. To bring somebody off the bench like Yusuf Nurkic to be the bruiser. They're talking about these Wemby stoppers. The Thunder draft Ademara to be a Wemby stopper. We talk about these guys that were stoppers. You talk about this guy was a Kobe stopper. This guy was LeBron Durant stopper. They might have slowed him down some. There was no Jordan stop. Nobody was a stopper. They might have slowed him down some, but great players are going to get to their spots and change the game and be a part of that. Is Wemby going to be that great? I don't know. We'll see. He's definitely unique. We've never seen anything like that before. 7'4", 7'5", dribble, shoot. We've never seen anything like that. Can his knees hold up and his legs? That's going to be the big question. Is there going to be a Wemby stopper? We'll see. As of right now, he's so thin. That's what it takes. It's some muscle. Like I've got a Karl Anthony Towns basketball hanging up behind me right now. But if you're getting out muscled by Karl Anthony Towns, you need to do a deep dive and reflect on your own ability. All right? Like Towns is not known for that. He's a great player. Not known for the physical side of things. But he did, and I believe Towns even stepped his game up in the finals. I'll give him that. I'll give him his roses there. I'll give him his roses. But that's where, Wemby's going to have to get better. So as we slide over to the third pick, and this one's interesting for me. Cam Boozer. I was just telling my little brother the other night, I'm really interested to see what Cameron Boozer becomes. Because if you watch him at Duke and you watch him at the Summer League now, the guy seems like a really gifted player. The Jazz coach Wojnarowski is absolutely losing his mind right now. 9 minutes ago, they're up 7. And this is the teaching moments in the Summer League. And this is what these young guys are here for. This is a good time out to teach. Anyways. But you look at Cam Boozer, 6'8", 250. Got that, his dad, Carlos Boozer, phenomenal 4. And Cameron Boozer is fitting that modern day 4 and do everything. Stretch the floor, pass. Isn't the greatest athlete, but he can do everything else. And I really don't think he's a complete hindrance on defense. Especially you got Zach Edey sitting down there in the lane, and look, everybody, and I was one of them. Edey's just big. He's just big. Zach Edey is gifted, for his size to move the way that he does. So I'm really interested in Cameron Boozer. I don't think he's going to be a game-changing, generational type player, but he could be a really solid player for a long time for the Grizzlies. You're going to be probably Cameron Boozer at the 4, Edey at the 5. They got an interesting thing here with Jeremy Grant, that was involved in the Ja Morant trade. I wish Jeremy Grant would get traded somewhere where he could win. I think the dude has been stuck on these bad teams for a long time now. Got a big contract at $32 million, but they've got Cedric Coward, who they're really high on. Scottie Pippen Jr. was a good reserve role. Is he going to jump into the starting role? Jalen Wells was another good young player. I think DeBonsa and Peterson are kind of dropping into not necessarily win a championship now teams, but winning teams is what they're going to be dropping into. And Boozer, is definitely on more of a rebuilding team. Excuse me. But definitely going to be interesting to watch Boozer play in the NBA once he gets against real players, real bodies, and against some real talent. So we'll see. It intrigues me. So that's my podcast. I get to say what I want. So this is what, it intrigues me on what Cameron Boozer could be. But I'm going to probably stop that there for now, being that we ain't seen DeBonsa play in the Summer League yet. But watching Peterson and Boozer play in the Summer League. Let's see here. Oh, come on now. I'm trying to get to NBA free agency a little bit more. In the NBA, it's complicated. I was a Kobe fan. All right. I love Kobe Bryant. That was my guy. That's who I loved to watch. Was Kobe Bryant. LeBron, he's just not my cup of tea. I'm not going to sit here and hit on his greatness and all that stuff. I ain't going to do it. Like, dude has numbers. We can argue forever. Everybody, well, this guy's the GOAT, this guy. Look, different eras, different type of players, different. I honestly hate when we compare players from different eras. It was completely different styles of play, completely different games. But LeBron's just not my thing. So I wasn't much of a Lakers fan the last few years. I'm a Lakers fan again now. Now that LeBron's gone, I was pretty excited, when LeBron left. If I'm being completely honest. So I'm a Lakers fan now, but in the meantime, I kind of picked up on the Sacramento Kings. That was my team. I loved that De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk combo at Kentucky was one of my favorite backcourts to ever watch in college. The athleticism, and Bam Adebayo on that team too, but the athleticism, the Malik Monk going off for almost 50, and I think he crossed 50 in that North Carolina game. Like, I remember we were watching that at our church in an evening while we were working on something at church. My dad's the pastor at our local church, so I grew up in the church building, not even just during service times. And I remember watching that game and watching Malik Monk go off. So that was kind of why I adopted the Kings. I liked De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. Those were my guys. They've traded around, but I still like them. I still like Sacramento. They get Darius Acuff out of the draft. I actually think that was kind of a steal of a pick. I'm not a huge Keaton Wagler fan for the Clippers. That's kind of not I think they should have took Acuff, but I'm not an NBA GM. Wish I was. I have this odd feeling that I would be good at it, but that's just me. I played a lot of 2K. I played a lot of the association. You know what I mean? Traded players, move this, that. I got some experience in that stuff. But in all seriousness, I really don't. But so, on top of that, Sacramento letting go DeMar DeRozan today. I'm a DeMar DeRozan fan, even before he was in Sacramento. I'm happy. I hate he's gone for Sacramento, but I'm happy for the guy. I hope he ends up in a situation where he can win. That's what I like to see these guys when they're at the end try to win. That's what I like to see. And so that's a big move there. He's now one of the biggest free agents still available. You got the Knicks losing Mitchell Robinson, picking up Andre Drummond. Robinson was good. He fit the role. Does Drummond completely replace him? They do a few things a little bit different, but yeah, I think you're okay there if you're the Knicks. They were quiet in free agency. Lakers traded Ayton. We talked about that. Finney Smith traded from the Rockets to the Hornets. It's a weird spin. Does Finney Smith get to play? I remember when he was with the Rockets the first time around, or excuse me, Dallas. He was in Dallas. He seemed to be your perfect stretch forward 3-and-D guy that fits in this modern NBA. But it's something I'll never understand is why some of these guys don't make it and they don't get the opportunity to play. You think they fit this perfect role of what the NBA wants now, and then off they go. They're off somewhere else. So I don't know. We'll see. I know that, of course, LeBron's still available. Jalen Duren's restricted. I would assume the Pistons probably going to pick up anything they send his way. James Harden, Draymond Green. Maybe one day we'll get Draymond Green. Jonathan Kuminga. That's a dude that I just don't get it. Was he really a problem in Golden State? Was it really Steve Kerr? If you ask my opinion, I think Steve Kerr's kind of got old and set in his ways. Kind of doesn't like the young guys. I think kind of wasted him, in my opinion. I think Kuminga's a great talent. Maybe he was an issue. I don't know. But, and then the Jaylen Brown trade. I feel like an idiot for not bringing that up first. As you can tell, I'm very prepared as I scroll through the ESPN list as I go through the podcast. And my points are like, hey, talk about free agency. Very detailed notes over here. The Jaylen Brown trade. What? What? I'm going to get canceled on my first stream. What happened? If any of y'all know what that video is from. What happened when that trade? I know that, and there's so many different views on, and people talking about what actually happened, but was Jaylen Brown really wanting out? Was he really upset over the honest stuff? And they just, Paul George and then first round picks, people are like, oh, they got first round picks, but it's two good teams. Those picks aren't going to be worth nothing. Jaylen Brown now to the Sixers with a loaded team. Again, another question of health. Does Embiid stay healthy? We'll see. We'll see if Embiid stays healthy. But what's this? This starting lineup is going to be Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid. Let's see. Oh, I'm missing one. VJ Edgecombe. Edgecombe looked amazing last year. Another freak athlete. Like watching that guy play. They signed Dean Wade. Is he going to play the 4? He would fit that 4 row pretty well for them. And they got some good young guys off the bench. But why did Boston make that trade? Oh, and the Sixers signed Anthony Simons. A great player off the bench to add some extra scoring. So, Sixers loaded up. Here's a weird one. Tim Hardaway Sr. says Tim Hardaway Jr. cannot wear his number 10 jersey for the Miami Heat. I wouldn't want the pressure anyways. If your dad was an all-time great playing for one team and going over there, I wouldn't want the jersey anyways, but kind of a weird, thing to put out there. Oh, we had John Morant getting traded. John Morant to the Trailblazers. That's going to be an interesting roster next year. I am a Dame Lillard fan. I like the underdog there for that team. You're going to have Damian Lillard, John Morant, Denny Avdia looked great in the playoffs last year. They re-signed Robert Williams. Shaedon Sharpe's another starting guard. Drew Holiday's another starting guard. Scoot Henderson, maybe not living up to his number 2 pick, level, but was starting to put some stuff together for injuries last year. Donovan Klingen's going to probably start at your 5. There's a lot of guards on this team. There's way too many guards on this team, so we'll see what they do. Maybe time to make some other moves for the Trailblazers and see what position they're in. But John Morant, I do kind of hope. I know there's a lot of weird stuff with John Morant. I do kind of hope that John Morant gets things put back together and is a good player again. I think the NBA misses him. Did Memphis tell him to stop dunking and everything? I don't know. If they did, that was kind of dumb. But, it took away from his game. But we'll see. So, and what's the Kawhi Leonard trade. Another bit, I don't know what happened this year. I do feel like the teams got a little bit stagnant. I feel like the teams have kind of been the same for the last 3 or 4 years in the NBA. And you felt that, I think, this free agency and in the offseason as everybody moved and traded. and all the changes that happen. So you're going to be Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, excuse me, Emmanuel Quickly, Kawhi Leonard, and Jacob Poeltl. There he is there 5. So again, another long. Kawhi Leonard's only 6'6". Huh. I always thought he was taller than that. But another long, lengthy team. They're going to have enough shooting. Is Kawhi Leonard going to be healthy? Who knows? But again, this is why I love this time of year so much. Because guess what? At this point in the season, everybody is still in contention to win the finals. I know that sounds crazy, but that's what it is right now. Everybody's goal. Let me take that back. Almost everybody's goal right now is to win the finals. There are some teams, maybe, are you going to report them for tanking? Maybe they think we'll be okay, but not great. But most of the teams at this point, 95% are thinking, hey, we got a shot at the title. We're building a team. That's what makes this time of year so much fun for me. And then there were a lot of little trades, like the Hornets get Miles Bridges. I'm not going to touch too much on Miles Bridges. There's some kind of heated opinions there on Miles Bridges, but great basketball player. Great basketball player. Could be great for that Phoenix Suns team. Thunder kind of shed a few players. Mark Williams returns for Phoenix. Who else? Phoenix got somebody else. Oh, we're not even to the LaMelo Ball trade yet. I've had people say like, "Oh, is LaMelo gonna roll?" And I don't care. I don't care. I hate when these teams have these players, and they never do anything for them. Anthony Edwards needed help. Anthony Edwards needed some more help. They traded for LaMelo Ball. They made a move. They got rid of Randall. That's a goaltend. Sorry, watching the Kings game. So, guy can't stop hanging on the rim. So it's goaltend. But where was I? Oh, completely blank. Anyways, LaMelo Ball. Sorry. I'm going to come back to LaMelo Ball because I'm looking at the Suns roster right now. And the Suns get Luke Kennard, Miles Bridges free agency. You're going to have Mark Williams, Kaleem Malawach. Not going to try to pronounce that again. Coming off the bench behind him. Dylan Brooks had a great year. You got Devin Booker, Jalen Green. Again, will he stay healthy? Who knows? But when he was healthy, he was good. I think Phoenix could be sneaky good. They had the year where Devin Booker led them and carried them into a good into a good playoff run. So we'll see. Could be another team, but we're looking here at the Timberwolves. LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Dosunmu. You're going to have Jaden McDaniels and Rudy Gobert. If you're friends with me, you know my opinions on Rudy Gobert. I have this list of players that if they're on your team, you'll never win another title, ever. Rudy Gobert's number 1 on that list for me. We'll see what happens. I'm telling you, that dude needs to be out of the NBA. Or, a backup. How can you be defense player of the year, whatever, and, you're supposed to guard Wemby, and through the playoffs, you weren't even guarding him. You weren't even guarding him because you couldn't. What's the point of you being on the floor? He can't catch the ball. LaMelo Ball is going to hit him with the first no-look pass. It's going to hit him upside the head. So we'll see what happens, but I do like the Timberwolves making a move, making something happen. At least they're trying. I hate when these teams just sit on their hands and do nothing. Isaiah Evans for them is a pickup, in a draft. Again, a 6'6" guard, that can shoot the ball. I feel like that's what we all want in the NBA. That's what every team's looking for. For some reason, that dude drops way late in the second round. Who knows? But, yeah. So some of the wildness from free agency, I love it. I couldn't stop clicking the refresh button, on the browser tab. Oh, sometimes Summer League basketball can be so hard to watch. But I couldn't stop hitting the refresh button through free agency. That dude blew the most wide open layup you've ever seen in your life. Cardwell. Oh my gosh, dude. Come on. But that's why I love the NBA free agency. is all the excitement. There's all these new moves. Everybody's on the new team. They got a fresh start. And here we go. The New York Knicks are national champions. Return, they're going to try and fight for their, to repeat and hold their spot as number one. The Thunder move a few pieces, draft a couple good players. It's absolutely absurd to me that the Oklahoma City Thunder can have all these good bench players and they get to draft another guard out of Iowa who can shoot, and then 7'3" Ademara to, I would say, eventually replace Isaiah Hartenstein. That GM, Sam Presti, for the Thunder, like, his banner should be hung in every NBA gym, is the greatest GM of all times. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, that's my rant on the Thunder right now. Cole, if you get to this point, you'll like that. You're welcome. Just for you. So that's my NBA side just for a little bit. Again, first podcast. I'm all over the place. It's 11:20 at night. I'm running on 4 hours of sleep as it is anyways. I should have done more prep. But here we are. And here you are. Hopefully, if you're still listening. My little brother's sending me pictures of his Minecraft gear. Oh, I love it. It's funny. So that's my NBA take. I really don't know what I want to get into. I just need somewhere to vomit all of my sports theories in my head. I just need to get it out somewhere. So this is it. Maybe I should call it Caleb's Sports Vomit. That's gross. Never mind. We're not doing that. Name to be determined. But we're going to talk some NBA. We're going to talk college basketball for sure. 100% college basketball. I love college basketball so much. College football is right. I don't even know that I do like college football. I love the atmosphere, though, of college football on Saturday, kickback in the fall. Things are cooling down. The grass is slowing down from mowing. And you kick back and you turn the TV on and you watch football all day long. I love college football. That is one of my favorites. We may golf, maybe. One of my favorite things right now are the Jordan Spieth videos where it's like, and now to Jordan Spieth, and he's like, behind a tree getting ready to break his club in half, or hanging off the side of a cliff getting ready to hit his next golf ball. Maybe we talk some golf. I don't know. Maybe we do that. I've watched hockey. I love watching the Stanley Cup Finals. We're probably not going to talk hockey. I don't know what I'm talking about. World Cup. USA lost tonight. That was depressing a little bit. It's hard to believe, if you knew my body build, that I played soccer. But I was also a child when I did that, and I enjoyed soccer. So I know very little, but it's fun to watch. The World Cup, at least. I'm still working on that. I don't know if I'm going to get into soccer. Probably not. But we're working on that. Baseball. I like baseball. I don't know. I have a hard time watching a whole game baseball. I don't know what it is. I will watch the playoffs again. I will watch all the playoffs. I love watching Ella De La Cruz for the Reds. It's kind of local for me. But I'm not going to talk much baseball. If I'm being honest, we're going to talk about when they get in the playoffs. We'll see what happens, how exciting it is. Because there are exciting moments from baseball. I like watching playoff baseball. There's so much excitement around that, and people go crazy. So maybe some baseball. Local sports? Maybe. Might talk some local sports in my area. We'll see. I already work for a sports net for our local high school. Running a live feed for that. We'll see. Maybe we'll talk about that. But for tonight, I'm 40 minutes in. I'm tired. I'm going to go to bed. So, until I decide to do this again, or maybe this was the 1 in a million, and we never do it again. But it was fun. I need an event like this for a couple seconds. I can't breathe now because my nose is stopped up. But hey, here we are. Thank you for listening. Have a good night. God bless.